Good morning, colleagues. We may settle down. Thank you very much, colleagues, and welcome to today's meeting. We have the agenda before us. We have the agenda, first supplementary, and the second supplementary agenda. We'll then handle the confidential minutes afterwards. So we'll first start with the prayer or meditation. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. We will then move on to the second agenda item, which is the application for leave of absence. So we have an apology from the COO, Ms. Goyo, the COE, and then we have an apology from Councillor Masuko, who's on sick leave. And the EM who is also unable to join us for today. Any other leave of absence, or you made it? Or is it oversight? You can.
Chair, I am here, but I will ask to be excused around 1:30.
Thank you very much, COO. Any other leave of absence, caucuses? Thank you. Okay, yes, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Just for Alderman Peter Sutton, he'll join us before 10. Thank you.
Thank you. So the policy and procedure on the application of leave of absence is still applicable for any other person who may want to exercise that. And I understand that there is a new member from the Democratic Alliance. I don't know. Can you please confirm? No.
Yes.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I can see our agenda still has still vacant. Well, ordinarily, Councillor Peter Sutton would be confirming the developments. I don't know who from the DA is able to confirm for us, not the person in question. Mr. Mabusela, you can aid us by confirming if you have a new member who is joining the committee.
No, thanks, Chairperson. You want us to confirm that we have a new member?
Yes.
Yes, no. From our caucus, Chair wanted to confirm that Councillor Andrew Meyer is replacing the late Councillor David Ferguson. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome, Councillor Mayor. So it means we have two councillor mayors that are spelled differently. So welcome, colleague. We look forward to your engagement and participation in the committee. So it means then we are complete. There's no vacancy. Thank you. It's fun, colleagues. Without wasting more time, we'll then proceed with our agenda. And we have agenda item number 3, which is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, the Section 79 Standing Committee on Public Accounts meeting that was held on the 16th of January 2026. The minutes were circulated on the portal, SharePoint. Is there anyone with any inputs, corrections? As recommended? Thank you. We'll then go to matters arising on the previous minutes of the committee. Is there any other matters arising? Okay. Okay, I'll take it that there is no matters arising. Okay, Councillor Marshall.
No, thank you very much, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. It's just a simple one, Chair. I'm just taking advantage of the item to welcome my good friend who's replacing my good friend into the committee. We welcome you, Councillor Mayor. And we're looking forward to your contribution as a member of this committee. We know you're a hard worker. You've got experience, young as you are, and we are looking forward to you forming part of this formidable team. MPEG is not a political witch hunt team. We work together. In fact, just the other day we've been fighting that why is the sitting arrangement in this fashion? You must remove this name tags. You can sit anywhere and everywhere, next to anyone that you feel sitting next to. We are not a party political committee. We are a public accounts committee. We do our work diligently. We are committed to save this city from the doldrums of the challenges that we have, especially around financial issues. But also, Chair, let me take this opportunity, because it will be very disingenuous of us not to record these milestones as and when they happen. This city is reaching milestones almost every day, every week, every month. We have just resolved one of the biggest issues in the past 8 years, the issue of the workers. And we must congratulate the administration under the coalition-led government. We have just come out of one of the biggest wins, where our collection rate of revenue has risen to 4 billion. Now, just yesterday, the leadership of this city and the leadership of the workers have reached a milestone in resolving an impasse between the city and the workers. And we want to take this opportunity, City Manager also, and your team in the administration, of the good work that you continue to do. Indeed, the future looks bright. We are heading somewhere. Don't worry yourself about all these shenanigans and people taking advantage of the media space that is with them all the time. When you see them making videos, making nasty comments, you must know that we are indeed doing something that is right. It is painful for them because they wanted to drag this city into the mud. Now we're taking it out of there. I know the gentleman next to you agrees with what I'm saying. And he works with us in terms of making sure that we chart the way forward. So congratulations, well done, keep it up. Difficult as it is, we will emerge. Thank you very much, Chair.
No, thank you very much, Councillor Marishani. No, indeed, it is true, Councillor and Deputy Chief Whip, that there is a lot going on here. And I think we are inspired by the leadership that we have, leading the city, of course, politically and otherwise. We then may move to the next agenda item. Let's see, we're still good in terms of quorum. Spending matters, which is agenda item number 5. There are still concerns that we have in relation to reports that are not being submitted on time, and that needs to be addressed. So the departments, together with the Office of the Speaker, we need to process matters as speedily as possible to ensure that there is efficiency in the system, and we're able to also all meet our KPIs and at least achieve and exceed our targets as it may. That concern still remains a concern on our office and the committee as it may, and we would like to see that addressed. And then the same issue is the outstanding reports, which has a funny way of being captured and sometimes not captured. You may have them on one meeting, next week when the agenda is published, the outstanding reports are removed. And there's reports that needs to be finalized. We need the table to form part of our agenda continuously so that we are able to, from time to time, refer to them and they don't fall through the cracks. So this generic way of changing the agenda, depending on whatever the agenda would be, it's inconsistent and it should be addressed as such. Setting us back. I don't know if there's anything else, colleagues. Okay, we are good. Thank you. We'll go to agenda item number 6, which is the matters for consideration. We have the 3 reports from the Office of the City Manager Department. Then the second one is from Group Property Department. The third one is from Environment and Agricultural Department on the main agenda. So report number 1, which is from the Office of the City Manager Department, status on the resolution of the issued material irregularity findings as at December 2025. The report is found on page 4 to page 10 with the recommendations on page 10. Yes, Councillor Municipal.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the opportunity. We went through the report and just quick one in relation to the 7 MIs that have been, according to the report, it says that they have been fully implemented, this 7, and I think it is a good thing, but we wanted to understand that if they were fully implemented, do you mean they are resolved? There are no any other issues. We are done with them. We can remove them from our records. That is what we wanted to understand. But secondary to that, we wanted also to check with the Office of City Manager that in the previous, actually in the recent Auditor General's audit report, the qualified one, the recent one, 2024-2025 financial year, are we having no additional material irregularities, or we were fine, we had improved the findings around it? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor, go ahead.
Thanks, Chairperson. Yeah, mine is about the MI of 2023-24. The one about the customers not billed for services rendered. Yeah, I see here that the Department of Water and Sanitation, they committed themselves to provide the status update by 12th of January this year. I don't know if they are here really, if they can say that the update is there, has been upgraded, so that the committee can be abreast about the status of this MI. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Sophia.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, mine is just to find out what is the status of the legal proceedings and what are matters being postponed for. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get the response from is it the CM who's taking it? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, Chair and members of the committee and colleagues. On the first question related to the 7 MIs that we have indicated that they are fully resolved, yes, they are no longer a problem. We have fully dealt with as the city, and we got the determination from the Office of the Auditor General. We are just keeping them as part of the report to show where it started, what happened, and where are we to date, but they are fully resolved. On whether we have new MIs, we don't have any new MIs that were raised as part of the recent audit. And on the issue of customers not billed, yes, we did get the update. We have submitted to Auditor General at the end of January. Previously, we did indicate to the committee that on monthly basis, we are providing update to Auditor General so that they can see what are we doing as a city to implement the milestones that we have identified as part of addressing the MIs. And on the issue of postponements related to legal matters, as the city, we do not have controls. That depend on the process that is taking place at court and the ones that are taking place at bargaining council. As the city, we do not have control over that. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, as recommended. Thank you. We'll then move to report number 2. The report is from Group Property Department. Report on the lease agreement or public-private partnership PPP involving the Municipal building and Swane House building, including the handling of insurance proceeds following the 1997 fire. The report is found on page 11 to page 19 with recommendations on page 19. Is there any comments on the report? Yes, Councillor Mayor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, this is not what we asked for in the report. It's
very nice report looking at pictures and this and that, the history of the fire. I was there myself. I saw what the building looked like, but thanks for the pictures to remind me of that as well. But the intention was actually to see what we are currently paying on rental or the public-private partnership, the amount that we are paying currently per month, per day, per year for Tshwane House. To compare it to other related office space, is it a category A office space, category B, or whatever. Nothing of this has been answered in the report. I mean, the most crucial is actually about the financials. We've got the sort of public, the PPP, the agreement, but no figures are given. And that's actually the most critical point in the report that we asked for, that we can compare the financial implications on the city in terms of this PPP compared to, like I've said just now, to other office rentals similar to this quality of space in the city. So to me, this report is an informative report, but doesn't actually has any meaning at this stage for impact. And I would really like this report to be referred back to give us the essential financial impacts in the city. That's the main reason why the report was called for. And no answers has been given in the report. And then on page 18, I'm a bit confused. I just want to know what this means. It comes up in several of these reports from Group Financial Services. It says it should be noted that based on the recommendations of the report, review of Circular 9, dated 12 September 2023, Council resolved that reports destined for Section 79 committees for oversight purposes be exempt from seeking legal and finance comments. If somebody can answer that as well, of course, the paragraph just below it, we've got the input from legal. So it's a bit confusing. So my recommendation would be that a report be referred back until we get the real financial implications on this issue about Tshwane House. Thanks. That's all from my side at this stage. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mayor. Any other comments before we allow Group Property to? Okay, thank you. Group Property.
Thanks, Chair. If you refer to the calling of the report that was received by the department to which we responded, there were three elements that arose. The first one was the ministerial insurance proceeds, and there were very specific questions about the total amount that was received, how the money was used. So that was the first element. And the second element, of course, was the lease or triple P, the details, how the city entered into this, the council resolutions. And the third was a comparable analysis of the cost incurred by the city in respect of the triple P vis-a-vis other office rentals. We structured the report to respond exactly to those. The third element of the report, which is what Councillor Mayor is raising, it was a comparison between the Tshwane House and the other office rentals. And the point that the report makes is that Tshwane House cannot be comparable with any other grade A office accommodation in the open market because those are not triple Ps. We extracted information that is available on triple Ps that have been done to demonstrate that Tshwane House is one part of the other triple Ps that exist, and therefore, if a comparison is to be made, it is to compare Tshwane House with other triple Ps in as far as the cost-benefit analysis is concerned. Because the way that the calling of the report came across was that it sought to compare the cost of Tshwane House with the cost of any other lease in the open market, and the two are not comparable. So if the report is required to be referred back and brought back, we would require a bit more clarity on what exactly is it that we must address in the body of the report. if we're required to address a comparison of Swane House with the other triple Ps on a cost-benefit perspective, then we can bring a report specifically on that element. Thanks.
Councillor Mayor, second bite.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, thanks for the feedback from Group Property. And that's exactly what I think was asked for in the report, to do a comparison between what we are currently paying and compared to cost-benefit analysis that needs to be done. So if I can get answers on that, it will satisfy me. Because then we can actually see and compare what we are paying, what is Swane House costing us. We've got a lot of buildings that we lease as well. I know this is different because it's a lease to own property, but we need to know what we are paying daily, and I would appreciate it if we can get that cost-benefit analysis which Mr. Malaka referred to. Thanks, Chair.
I'm not sure if you captured some of the comments from the department. They are basically saying that they would request additional information so that as well feedback, it come back with those specifics. And they say they can't compare it on the open market. So I'm not sure if they're on the same page. But unless the department then you say that they are covered with your second bite, that it addresses the concerns or their inputs or response thereof. You can come in, Mr. Chongwan.
Chair, there is a table in the report, just so that we get conclusive clarity. There is a table on page 6 where we say comparable analysis of office accommodation triple Ps. Is it a requirement that we extract a cost benefit against those and we bring a report on those? Or is the expectation that we compare the Swane House with other office rentals so that we can bring a report that responds directly to what is being required? If I can just be assisted with clarity on that element. Because what we sought to do was to extract available information on other triple Ps and bring it in the report to say this is the cost of the triple P, this is the duration of these triple Ps, and we then went further to say from what we are observing, we made a few observations about the comparability of Swane House to other triple Ps in terms of the lease duration, the cost of investment, and the structure of the triple P, because a lot of them are to build, operate, and transfer. So we brought all of that into the body of the report. So I just want clarity on what additional comparison. Is it the cost comparison of Swane House versus the other triple Ps that are listed here, so that I can bring that for the report? Thanks, Chair.
Thanks. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm covered. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. As recommended. Thank you. We'll move to report number 3. It's from Environment and Agriculture Management Department. The revenue in your report on billing and revenue generated by each landfill site for the 2025-2026 first quarter report. The report is found on page 20 to page 24 with recommendations on page 24. Any comments? Okay, we'll start with Ntate Matlo and then go to Councillor Randa.
Thanks, Chairperson. Yeah, mine is just really a concern about a continuous systematic challenge in terms of landfills revenue collection, because it seems that the system is still having some challenges, so that consolidation of data is impossible. I think it's a concern that maybe the department can clarify further in terms of that. How do they really plan to better the system in terms of landfills? Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. So mine is going to latch onto what my colleague behind me has just said. We note that the way bridges are still not functional, and one would want to know what is the persistent failures in getting our way bridges functional. The other a big problem for me is that there's manual recordings of the billing for the vehicles that visits the landfill sites. And we further note that it's often EPWP workers that they use to do this. If this is not important for the city in terms of a revenue generator, then I'm worried. If you look at the IMEA report, you will also see under service charges for waste management that it shows 133 million unfavorable balance, with citing billing for landfill sites as one of the main culprits there. And then, Chair, yesterday I had a conversation with a person who has been trying for over 12 months to apply for a waste transportation permit. There's just no assistance in the city for people who wants to go the legal route, wants to pay what is due to the landfill sites because they cannot get their permits. I think it's time that we get a proper report, and if needs be, we will call for that to get proper information. As the colleague behind me has said, we cannot work with a report like this, and it comes through time and time again with the same challenges. We see no improvement, and we wonder why this potential revenue generator is not, used to the full force and the potential that it has. Thank you.
Thank you. I will get the response from the department. Is it
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe firstly, let me just acknowledge that the...
Chair.
Yeah, proceed.
Chairperson.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Council.
You see the issue of name tags, we are confusing our viewers.
Yeah,
If you go to the previous speaker, is Abel Malaka. Now Abel Malaka is Vuyo Ndondo. And we've got guests, they are watching us.
And the problem is that now Mevuyo is Godwin Ratikwan. That's worse. So what you can do, Desire will quietly intervene, but it's okay. But the purpose of that, you are free when you arrive 15 minutes early. If you want to sit next to each other, you are free to move the tags around. Just stick it where you want to sit, but we don't want to be having like widespread people, and you can't even talk, and you are far from each other. You're able to do that. But the point is, when someone is watching us from home, they should be able to see that it's Councillor Taylor speaking, not Rodney Obusela, and so on. And then also equally when it comes to officials. So tomorrow, as you are giving us testimony, as it may, or you are telling us certain things, we can always hold you accountable, but we don't want to be explaining, no, you are sitting on someone else's seat. So that's okay. We will assist each other. Desire will also intervene where necessary. But it should not disrupt our program, please, especially because we have a number of reports that we need to entertain. Thank you for raising it. It was a reflection I was making with Telo here next to me that, hey, it seems that we are losing our grip again. But thanks, Ntate Malaka. The mic is all yours. Please take us through the responses from the questions or inputs from the councillors.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. I think maybe the first reflection that I need to make is to say that we have realized, actually over a period of time, that extensive vandalism within the site have created the problems that we are having today. But unfortunately, or fortunately, the drive that we are pushing at is the fact that these assets are a strong revenue have a strong revenue generation potential. And in essence, our drive in the next few
months, already we are about to be on advert in terms of refurbishment of the way bridges, including the prepaid system that we are trying to introduce so that we can close all these gaps that we are experiencing in terms of the manual collection of revenue on the landfill sites. So obviously there is a plan, and the plan is almost at its tail end. So obviously in the next few months we might be realizing to turn the corner in those spaces. And obviously this report, it just gives a first quarter reporting in terms of what has been the projected revenue as per individual landfill site, and what we have actually generated as part of the revenue. Then if you look at it, the projection was 17 million in the first quarter of the financial year. And then as an effect, we managed to, even if on the manual system, we managed to collect at least 15 million, which therefore demonstrates that going into an electronic system and a prepaid system, there's a high potential of actually bringing in more money into this asset. And I think that covers the first question and the first comment and the second comment that has been made. But in relation to the waste transportation permit, I think our system is up and running in terms of those that are applying. Perhaps the respective individual who applied might have certain issues that might be preventing him from actually getting the permit. Because we are very clear in terms of the policy position, we will not be able to give a permit to a person in a space where a municipality has a footprint, or where the municipality has the ability to collect and the service availability is there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Tsepo and Councillor Mabusela.
Thanks, Chairperson. This waste issue has been dragging for quite a long time. And mine is just simple. We are having many wasteful waste sites. And maybe there was time when the city had more than what we have now. Then you are having less than what you had. And even though you don't have machines, but I think you might be having more human capital than you used to, or unless people left the system or somehow there was restructuring or something. Even manually, can't we, with what we have, maximize it and try to see how we improve in the losses that the cities are happening, because it's a normal talk in the corridors, in the streets, in the townships, that I holahlile go waste suicide. You can just come in, drop your things and just get out. Please. Everybody knows. But when are we going to draw a line and start improving on that revenue? Because I can see that what you promised the city, you could not even deliver on that quarter. You promised 17, you got 15. And we need to work on those things. When do we get to a level of finding solutions and a better balance using what we have? Yes, we'll speak problems, but until we identify opportunities within the problems, we'll never get out of these problems until we create some form of revenue, a bit, and then create more revenue, then fix the social things using that revenue, then being able to get out of that. But as long as we're not trying to use what we have, we're talking about what you don't have, that way bridge and what, it might be too expensive with the challenges that the city is having. But with what we have manual, before those things, we did things manual. Can't we see how we can incorporate what we have, something small, cameras and everything that can be used to make sure that people are compliant, that is affordable, and try to see if we can increase the revenue. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, maybe the second paragraph from the bottom on page 20 reads that in the case of service providers carrying out waste collection on behalf of the city, you are deducting, of course, the landfill charges. The worry is that waste is not just disposed of, isn't it, by those who are contracted to the city. There is also private carriers, if I'm not mistaken. But how do we bring these people on board so that they are also able to put something on the city's coffers? Because if we do get the point that it mitigates the extent of the problem, but we have other problems. And also, are you able to quantify exactly, which service provider has dumped or have disposed of waste, and how many tons of waste is it? Or is it like a charge that just, it's more like a standard charge according to maybe the number of trucks? But if that truck can go and drop 3 times the other truck, the charge would probably remain the same. Is it like flat rate charge? Or what do you do in that case? Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe let me start.
My humble apologies. I had recognized Mr. Mabusela. Maybe let's take him, and then as you respond, you don't have to come back and respond again. Dr. Mabusela, my apologies.
No problem, Chair. Just to check here, Dr. Malak, and is raised by Group Human Capital under their responding, under their comments, that they are dedicated personnel to administer information requires for billing purposes and capturing information in the office, and is performed by EPWP workers and interns. And we know that EPWP workers and interns, they are for a purpose assignment for a specific time frame. So I wanted to understand, or if their time have lapsed or expired, EPWP workers or even interns, what do we do? Are we having alternative people who are there on a full-time or on a permanent basis, administrators? And secondly, my understanding is that the interns come to acquire experience, and now they are being claimed as they are dedicated. When they come to acquire experience, do we have dedicated or full-time people who are taking them through this learning exercise, or not? Or we just dump them there, we show them that we are going to capture here and there, then after we leave? Because from where we are sitting, we need a permanent solution, especially around this person to administer this capturing. It can't always be in EPWP workers and interns. That term comes expired, they have to leave, we need to get another new interns or EPWP workers. So we have an intention to employ a permanent person there. In fact, it must not be intentional. We must have a permanent person there who will also go on to teach the interns requisite skill and also these EPWP workers. Thank you, Chief.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, Councillor Peter. Thank you. Now your apology was noted. Thank you. You may proceed, Group H. I assume one of the tables would answer partially my question, but the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think maybe let me just start with the latter question that has been asked by the Councillor in relation to EPWP. The EPWP employees that we are using are actually a force multiplier in relation to the small number of employees that we have that are doing capturing on this landfill site. So we augment in terms of the interns and the EPWP, precisely to the point of also them learning skills and also assisting us actually capture the lot of data that we generate from the disposal side in reference to private collectors, as you said, Chairperson. If you look at the table 2 on page 21, it actually illustrates that. But however, I just want also to reflect and demonstrate that we are using all elements that we have, including the EPWPs and intents, in order to augment the current manual collection system. However, we have realized, and as I have said initially, that this manual collection system is not going to help us at all. Hence the proposal that is now going on advert on the electronic solution, which actually looks at prepaid, so that we could be able to capture all of those that are private clients that are utilizing our landfill sites. However, it's becoming easier on those that are actually directly contracted to the city, because before their payment is effected, we actually deduct the landfill portion. So in essence, the electronic solution that it's almost out on advert, it will actually try to assist in closing those revenue gaps. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, look, I may not be an expert here, but one would think that, you know, if we charge a flat rate, we are saying that a 10 cube, 12 cube truck, we charge it per day. And that truck comes and drops 3 times. Then there is another 10 cube that dropped once, maybe because of distance or any other factor. Why are we not able to charge these people according to the amount of drops? Because I'm saying this because I'm also worried with the strategic priorities, or what do we seek to achieve? Are we calling this report, is it just before us for noting purpose as it is? Because if you check the recommendation as well, it just says, you know, we're taking cognizance of this. Does it help us as a city, you know, to just take cognizance and just leave it as it is? Or what is the strategic, or what is the steps that we are going to be taking as a department to try and see how do we fix this issue of the way bridges? Because even if it's manual, it doesn't help, because what we are doing is we are saying to you, per day we are charging you this much, that's it. But we are losing a lot. And if we really wanted to do something, if manual bridges are being vandalized as it may by the service providers or any other person, we have Metro Police that is able to intervene. We've got watchman services. If we don't trust them, then we've got Metro Police for. But the point is that, and there are not so many way bridges. The landfill sites, it's 4. Are we not able, group head, to come up with a strategy on how do we generate revenue on waste, or there is just no political willingness or willingness generally to resolve this issue of collection? Because clearly we have a problem with that report, or bylaw as it may, that was charging flat rate to all those properties that are not having accounts with the city. Clearly, we have a problem there. It's still in the courts and so on. What do we really do? Given this thing, is there like a bigger plan beyond this report that you could maybe take the committee in confidence, so that we know that this is what is being done in the department? Or should we just allow it to be what it is and move on? and then next time again it comes, we come and we start the discussion from scratch and do nothing about it, then come back again. What is it that you can tell us in terms of the long-term strategy of fixing this issue and the loopholes that you are showing or that are being exposed here by the members, and I'm sure known by yourselves, of course, as people who are more involved in the department. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. I think the calling of this report was particularly in relation to the revenue generated. If the community feels that we need to bring an additional report in relation to the strategies and the plans and how are we turning around the landfill site, we can easily do so. However, just also to dwell into the area that we've just mentioned, if you look at page 20, paragraph 1, our tariff structure compels that each and every vehicle that comes to the landfill site should pay at least 250 rand per ton. So it's a ton-based collection. However, because of absence of operational way bridges, we have used a standard calculation to say a full 10, 19 cubic, 18 cubic, how much would we actually charge per day. So for ease of reference in terms of the data that we collect for billing purposes. So in that essence, our tariff structure is very clear. It is 250 per ton, and all vehicles are actually charged accordingly. However, we aggregate it based on the estimated volume full of vehicles, because that's the disadvantage of the manual system. Hence, the view to say that what will solve this problem is basically an electronic system that is hinged on prepaid. Thanks.
Thanks. Are we covered, colleagues? As recommended? Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. We'll go to our first supplementary agenda. We have about 5 reports on an open committee. The first one, report number 1 on the first supplementary agenda, is from Section 79 Standing Committee on Municipal Public Accounts, MPAC Outstanding Reports and Process Plan for 2025-2026 financial year. The report is found on page 5 to page 30 with recommendations on page 7. Is there any comments, Councillor Mawusela?
Yeah, Chair, we just want to ask your guidance and the guidance from the rest of the committee members. Remember, the report served in the last MPAC meeting in January, and it was suggested that we need to have a session to deliberate on this matter as MPAC members only. And we did not engage it further because that proposal, we agreed with that proposal, but we wanted to engage it further, also to have a recommendation. But it was further indicated by our colleague Khatleye that we cannot, perhaps before we make a recommendation, we need to interact because it's our operational matters. So now it's back here, Chair. We don't know, is the proposal of the previous meeting still standing, or we can continue with what we wanted to do, especially around the recommendations. We were convinced and persuaded by colleagues on the 16th of January. That is why we didn't wanted to engage the report further. But if that is still standing, that the report need to be put aside, we'll have a session as members of MPEC, discuss it and have a way forward. We still not have a problem. But currently, what is the standing of this report?
Yeah, no, thank you. Okay. Mr. Mayor, please proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. It's Councillor Meyer. I can always address you in Dutch, but unfortunately I won't be able to address you in isiZulu, so I'm not Councillor Ziyanda and Swane. Chairperson, just in terms of the report, what's quite concerning is that on some of the reports that have been called for, some due dates have been included, but we don't get any comment, and we haven't seen these reports. Due dates have lapsed already, but then we don't see any comments why the due date wasn't met. It's really concerning because it's important matters that impact deals with, and we don't get, if I can call it, any excuses why the reports doesn't appear before us. So it's a real concern. It stops us from doing our work that we're supposed to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mayor. Councillor Tsepo.
Chairman, I don't know, we can go around asking questions every now and then, and the responses will only make things worse. I think we need to meet, have directives, have a way forward, and say this is how we want to work, this is how we're going to operate, and these are the consequences of non-compliance. And then I think if we get to that level, then we'll be having way forward. Because we can ask questions the whole day. And if you ask for a report, then it's now 8 months and many months and many months. It's like we don't have teeth, we can't bite, we can't do anything about it. I think we have to meet and have a way forward on how we deal with reports, and between ourselves engage with the city manager, have bilaterals, and have an agreement on the table on how we resolve on issues of non-compliance. If we impact, rather in a meeting, somebody should say that I feel like the month that you're giving me is not enough. I'm requesting that you give me 2 months or 3 months. Rather than saying, agree. If all representatives from departments are here, and when we call for reports, and then we are giving smaller time frames, I would hear others will raise their hands and say, Chairperson, I'm humbling myself. I think 2 months will be too little because of the report is wide range. Rather have those engagement and resolve on the time frames. But once we have agreed that we have given you 3 months, then it must be 3 months. If we go to project management language, there will be penalties, there will be things like that. So there needs to be consequences for non-compliance, and that needs to be addressed. CM, we need to really have put consequences in place. We can't have call for reports and we want to do our work and the reports don't come, and then find ourselves useless at the end of the day. Thanks a lot, Chairperson. I think it's upon us to pave a way forward on this one.
No, thank you, colleagues. And I think I concur. Well, one is disturbing that we have a process plan that keep on being interrupted by non-compliance. We have outstanding reports that I was raising earlier that when people feel like putting it in here, they put it. When they feel like it's not politically conducive to put it, they don't put it. We have departments that are writing letters left and right to postpone the following sitting and the other sitting. But at the end of the day, it's this committee that is going to be held accountable. And the same departments are going to be the ones who are saying the committee is failing, the committee is toothless, the committee is not being able to do what it needs to do. So I have a suggestion that we should consider that on the 13th, or is it on the 13th, where there is a special meeting, we should be meeting, it's the 13th of March, we should meet and then come up with a sound approach to attend to this issue. But the group heads, the senior management, the office of the speaker is not exempted. It's part. The management thereof needs to pull up their socks. Because the minute, much as we have delayed to meet now, because of those workshops and the AG and so on, we are going to come back with a much hardened approach, and we hope that colleagues are not going to be running with theories of us being anti-management. There was a statement we once released just on the quality of reports, and it was not even pinpointing any department, but people were fighting and crying on passages and so on, as if, the statement was that bad. So what we are coming back with here is not a statement. It's going to be something more harsher than this. I think together with this committee, we're going to have to come back with a much solid approach to this issue. Otherwise, we're going to fail. And I know the officials, we know the strategy that when is the year of elections, officials are going to do a number of tricks to delay the process. So it's unfortunate, but with your approval, councillors, we may want to move on, unless you feel that someone should answer now. Maybe some of your questions, if you feel that they should be responded to, or your concerns. But if not, we may just signal on us having to adopt this and then move on to implementing our strategy to meet, draw up the strategy and then move on to implement it. Councillor Tsepo, Councillor Zila, you talk if you need to.
I think this handle, we should not pass it. Either hold this report in abeyance for a while, and next impact, we should come back with strong recommendations that we all agree upon and have a way forward. Because if we take cognizance, we have dealt with it and it has passed. And we need to just leave it like this for now, have consensus, have bilateral discussions around these things, have a way forward, have a framework, our own framework on how we want to approach this thing. And when we come back, we'll have one recommendation that represents us, including yourself, Chairperson, and have a way forward and be able to see. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Are you covered? Councillor Zila, you can chip in. Thank you.
No, thanks, Chair. I think I just want to thank you for also including the office of the Speaker, because there are some reports that are supposed to go to council. There's the last report, I think there's one of our reports that was supposed to go to council. It didn't come to council. Then when we we asked why it didn't come to council, they say it's sitting in the office of the speaker. So I'm happy that you raised that issue. And my colleague here, I support the recommendation by my colleague here, because, Chair, I'm worried that our committee is being undermined in reality. And I feel like we're playing here as a committee. So we must really, really put our foot down, because at the end of the day, we are the ones who are being held accountable, Chair, as I want to agree with you. And we are the ones who have been told that we have failed or what. The AG doesn't blame anyone but us. So I'm saying, Chair, we are supporting you, and please, let's not just take this as a talk show. Colleagues, I pause.
No, thank you very much, colleagues. Can I just get an indication then we are referring the report or deferring it to the next meeting? However, this report, I think the office of the speaker, the report needs to come. So the process plan needs to come as a part. There on the first page, on the original agenda. It needs to be a part. And then under that part, then you can also then have outstanding reports, which is in a table format. I mean, we don't tamper with the standards or formats of things, and then the next thing, somewhere down the line, you are entertaining the process plan. And let's just stick to what has been working. You get there, you have the minutes, after the minutes, matters arising, after matters arising, you have the process plan, like how it's been. We can't change things unless there is another pressing matter, like you want to tell us about, and then you can come back with that. But just bring it as it is so that we're clear. We know that before we get into the hard agenda, these are the outstanding matters. We entertain the outstanding, then we start to get into the agenda. Not when we are in the agenda, now we are discussing other matters that are outstanding within the agenda as is running. There was a right structure that we had. Not in the middle of entertaining matters before us. Now we are entertaining matters not before us. It has been like that. As to who's the genius that came with an idea of changing it, for what particular purpose, I don't know. But let's stick to what works. Let's give the meeting structure. These meetings are streamed live. The standard needs to change. And the standard needs to be consistent once it has changed from what we have today. So we are sending this back. We'll then entertain it in the next meeting, and we hope that we'll be able to process even some of these reports we're entertaining today into the agenda of the up-and-coming ordinary council meeting. Yes, Councillor Mabusela?
Yes, Chair, we don't have a problem with sending it back. Just wanted to request that, well, after we have sent it back, can we at least have, even if it's online, have a session as all of us, 13, is it 13, yeah, just to deal with matters that are in this report and have a proper way forward. Just if your office can arrange that, we're happy.
Yeah, no, thank you. We'll be in touch, checking availability of the councillors. Even an online can work. We quickly come up with a strategy of how to nip this thing and then move forward. Thank you. We'll then entertain report number 2, which is from Economic Development and Special Planning Department, a report on all restaurants at Hazelwood, better known as the Village.
page 31 to page 38 with recommendations on page 38. Thank you very much. I will start with Councillor Randall, and then Councillor, are you raising your hand? Councillor Peter, and then Councillor Mayor, followed by Councillor Zela. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jay. I see we have a lot of speakers. My only comment would have been that this report also needs to be referred with an additional recommendation to the portfolio for economic development and spatial planning to also scrutinize this. I cannot say that it does, it only belongs to impact. And the other thing I was initially going to ask about contravention notices and whether there's any improvement in terms of, getting plans approved. But I saw in the body of the report that there was indeed notices issued to some of these business. So that I'm happy with. Maybe just progress in terms of, plans being submitted so that this can be rectified. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Randall. Councillor Peter. My apology, it doesn't look like you pressed. Did you press your mic?
Sorry, my humble apology. It's fine, Chair. I will go now. Or can I let Councillor Meyer go before me, if that's in order with you?
It's okay. Councillor Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. That's not in order with me, but it's fine. I'll take the opportunity. Chair, I've got one concern about this report. We've seen that there were a lot of illegal land users. Notices were issued. I don't see any dates on this, because this is a long outstanding issue already. The whole village developments taking place there. There were parking problems, etc., etc. Once again, my concern is notices were issued. It just mentions it. It doesn't give us dates. What is of importance financially for the city is that once a notice has been issued for a contravention of the town planning scheme, the owner of the property has got 30 days to rectify the problem. If not done so, differential rates will be implemented. Now, differential rates are quite a revenue spinner for the city. It's as high as 7 times the normal rates that we apply to any property. And this report, obviously, I don't think it was asked for, it wasn't called for to mention those figures. But I would love to see if any of these property owners are paying at this stage, who are still in contravention of the town planning scheme, are paying those differential rates. And just on differential rates in general, there are a lot of contraventions in this city where we can make a lot of money out of the differential rates being implemented. So I would love this report actually maybe to be referred back and to see what has the money or what has the city gained through differential rates on these illegal land users. It's been approved now, it's in terms of the RSDF. In principle, it's been approved, but there are still a lot of land users that are not according to the zoning of the land. So they need to align, they need to make a plan to get their act together. But we need to take the necessary legal action that we can take and really do bylaw enforcement. The whole problem is a lot of property owners, and that's why in general I say throughout the city, we've got so many illegal land users. People are just lawless. They don't abide to the law, bylaw transgressions, and specifically in terms of the town planning scheme, those bylaws that are enforced or that are not enforced, it seems like the city hasn't got any bite. We just let things carry on. There's no consequences for property owners that contravene schemes or any other bylaws. I see mention has been made in the report that we're going to put together a bylaw team to enforce bylaws. It's not necessary. We've got the officials to do that, and I would have loved to see this information in the report as well on have been successful in penalizing these people by means of differential rates. You know, the best way to penalize a person that's in controversy is to fine him. Then he will quickly stop his illegal land use, or he will start complying to the scheme and do the necessary applications. It's a comment, it's not included in the report, but I would have loved to see this information in the report as well. Thanks, Chairperson.
Yeah, Councillor Peter.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I was actually referring to the different mayor. My apology, Councillor Peter Meyer. Chair, I actually have a bit of a concern with the tone of this report. Now, firstly, and I agree with Councillor Meyer behind me, that this is a revenue-generating aspect for the city, and of course, we want revenue, but we also need to consider the inconvenience to the community in that area. Now, when we have businesses that do illegally operate, as we see here, or outside, let me withdraw the word illegal, let me replace it with outside the appropriate zoning. It places an impact on the infrastructure in the area, where houses were used for residential, the planning that was done in that area from an electricity perspective, a water perspective, a sanitation perspective, was around houses for residential purpose. Now suddenly you have businesses there. Businesses often draw more electricity, there's an increase in traffic, there is an increase in water provision for that area or usage, sanitation becomes a problem, and it makes a major inconvenience to the residents in the area, not to consider other bylaw infringements like noise and other pollution that comes with that. Now, Councillor Meyer, Peter Meyer, highlighted the fact that there is a process that we can deal with in those cases, but we should take that very seriously. And what I see in this report, you know, the department is simply just saying, oh no, but it's an important part, they're doing what they do, but they're outside the zoning. And I do think we need to take a little bit of a more serious stance when it comes to this and the fact that they're outside the process. Now, it's also been mentioned by the previous speaker that there is a time frame which they need to rectify, and if not, in other cases, we take people to court. We take people to court and we go through a process. In 2016-17, a person was even sentenced to prison for 2 years for continued violations. But now, I also want to take you to the point that when the RSDF says that an area can zone for an area, that doesn't mean the zoning has been approved. People still have to apply for zoning. So the RSDF might say in the future we will allow people to do this in that area. That's not an automatic granting permission for that. They still have to individually apply for the rezoning of those properties. And it seems to me in the tone of this report that that's not taken into consideration. What's even a little bit more concerning for me is the comments from the departments. Now, I take you to 4.4 in the report, page 35. Infrastructure. According to the Department of Water and Sanitation, the area is having adequate water and sanitation infrastructure. Yet, if you go to the comments below on water and sanitation, it says, oh, but there needs to be upgrades. And, you know, from a planning perspective, this is important. It just says the Water and Sanitation Business Unit has no objection towards the above-mentioned application. please note that the water and sewer services require upgrades. Just like a little side note there, these businesses need to pay for these upgrades in terms of the SCLUMA regulations. The only comment in this report that I think is worthwhile is from the Chief of Police. Even, all the roads and transport. If we look at the comments from roads and transport, it says no, there needs to be upgrades. We are in discussions with it uses the words, we are in discussions with the businesses about the upgrades to the roads and transport. I'm just trying, yeah. The Roads and Transport Department notes the report and its recommendation. The department is in constant talks with developers and consulting engineers alike, so as to ensure the increased traffic volumes to the village associated with the restaurant patents are managed and mitigated effectively. There's nothing about managing and mitigating. It's about the SCLUMA regulations and the necessary work being done in terms of the zoning to ensure that this is compliant. So, Chair, I'm very concerned about this. In my ward, businesses are being held liable. Businesses need to upgrade. They need to readjust roads into turning lanes. They need to upgrade pavements around building developments, and the departments are holding them accountable. Yeah, it's just I just get the stone that we are talking to them. They need to mitigate this. Chair, the SCLUMA regulations are not being implemented in this area. And it's high time they take action, and they do that. And if they need to take people to court, they need to take people to court. But, Chair, we can't accept this. We can't accept that this development is causing a major inconvenience to the community of that area, and we have this double standard in implementing the SCLUMA regulations and the building control regulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Peter. I didn't see the hand of Councillor Mayor. Was his hand up? No, okay. Thank you. Councillor Zela, proceed.
No, thank you, Chairperson. And I'm happy that my colleagues here, they saw what I see. When we called for this report, Chairperson, we knew why we called for this report. And here are the results. Chair, day in, day out, in our wards, in the townships, bylaws are being effected. Mabopane Station, our streets there in Mabopane, you see Metropolis day in, day out doing their work. But here we are, Hazelwood, 11 contraventions, nothing has been done. When you read at the conclusion, Chair, the report says bylaw enforcement agencies will enforce. Will? Why are they not enforcing? Because we know that we have, they've proven to us that they are there. But nothing is happening, Chair. So, we can't take cognizance of this report, Chair. I would like to ask for 2 minutes with my colleagues here, because we've got some recommendations, and I hear that they've got recommendations so that we can put them together regarding this issue, Chairperson, because we are not happy. I thought I was the only person together with my colleagues from the ANC who were not happy with this report, but I can hear that all other parties here or all other colleagues here, they are not happy with this report. So I would like to propose to through my whip some few minutes. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let's entertain the hand of Councillor Tsepo first, and then we'll revert back to the request for
yes. Let's exhaust the report, and then we'll do a accommodation later. Here, responses from our colleagues that side. And my small input is that as a city, we will have to draw a balance. We have the constitutional responsibility of being drivers of the economy of the city also. It's a balance. But we have also a responsibility of protecting the rights of the compliant ones. Like we're having malls that are turning into wild elephants because of it's expensive to run business when you comply. And others can just put in some small business on the side next to the mall. We'll have a checkers hyper there, and we'll have a lukulanyana there at the corner, and then working 24 hours. This one is compliant, and they're passing them for this one who's not compliant. But what is our objective? Do we assist them to be compliant, or do we take them out of business? It's a question that we need to ask ourselves. Or what are we achieving? And impartialism is very much important. What we do in Mawopane, we must do in town. If you are saying that we are not negotiating, we are removing in Mawopane. When you come to town, don't negotiate, remove. But if you are negotiating in town, go and take back the infrastructure that you have removed in Mawopane and negotiate. You can't be impartial, apply different laws in different areas. That's where the problem is. But as a city, CM, you have a huge task on this one to see that we need a strategic approach of saying that are we trying to protect the revenue that we are generating, or are we being primitive and saying we'll negotiate later? Are we assisting them to comply, or are we just saying that if you don't comply, we deal with them? Do we have warnings? First written warning, second written warning processes? Or do we saying that first time when you find irregularity, you are out of business, pack your things and go? What is the process? What do we have legislation-wise as a city right now? Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We'll get the answers from the department in question. Proceed.
Thanks, Chair. I'll just start with the one from...
maybe because you don't have a name check, you can introduce yourself.
No, thanks, Chair. My name is Mafurumeji Mahata. I'm the Group 8 Economic Development and Spatial Planning.
Thank you.
Now, the issue around the progress, yes, in terms of what we are doing, we have identified, we have approved the RSDF in the space. Now, in terms of the RSDF, is one of the nodes which we have identified as part of the Metropolitan Spatial Development Framework. Is also in line with what we are doing in mainland. That's one part. And I just also want to highlight the fact that, yes, indeed it's true. When we approve RSDF, it does not mean people can start to exercise. You still have to submit an application so that you can then process it. Now, in terms of the progress, yes, indeed, if we look at the table here, we have issued notices. One is about the National Building Regulations, that's one part. The second one is also in terms of the contravention of the scheme. Now, in terms of the contravention of the scheme, we issue notice and then we go and do inspection again if that particular contravention is still valid. Once it's not valid, what we are working with finance is that this report doesn't cover that. We have what we call non-permitted use. I think it's working effectively, and we can be able to provide a report to the committee. We always report this to our Section 79. We charge what we call non-permitted use until the person complies. So it's not to say we are leaving them without, and we have a monthly report which we are getting from finance. We issue the notice, and then we submit it to our evaluations in finance, and then finance will then charge non-permitted use in terms of the property rates. So that one is given in terms of that. The other process which we are following, Chair, is that we also deal with the National Building Regulations. And there are some cases where, I can give an example, we have two areas where they had to submit an application, rezoning application. And I can confirm to this committee that on Tuesday, there was an order from our side, which was on the city's favor, where we took them to court to ensure that they comply with the National Building Regulations. The matter of to say we are not doing anything about it, we are actively working on it, and we report this also to our Section 79. The issue around the impact, and I know Councillor Mayor also raised this, there is a report which was requested by this committee, ourselves and finance we are working on, is about the financial impact of this illegal township, the 7 illegal township we're talking about. Now, there's a process which we are following with MMC from Human Settlements to but there is a process, legal process which we are dealing with from our side as economic development and spatial planning. So we are dealing with that to where we issue notices, and maybe just to indicate that our experience or what we have identified as part of those illegal townships. Those illegal townships, sometimes they are not necessarily in private land, they are on municipal land. That is one. And now you remember, in terms of this, we cannot charge ourselves that non-permitted use. We also have from government, national government and provincial government. So there's a report which we are working on. The same issue, because I know, and I'm going to raise it here, it also deals with issues around Klein-Fontaine, because that is where we have implemented non-permitted use. So we are also in court to deal with that particular matter, but I'm not going to speak about the merits of what is happening there. But I also want to indicate here that the comments which we have from various departments, I think we need to also understand that when you submit an application for rezoning or township establishment, the developers, all of them, irrespective of which area we are coming from, we have what we call bulk contributions. So the bulk contribution is the one which needs to upgrade infrastructure in that particular space. And ourselves and service delivery departments, your water, sanitation, electricity, and roads. That is where they enter into service agreements with those developers so that they can be able to upgrade. So this is a process in terms of SPLUMA, so there's no difference. I just wanted to highlight that. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. You have more hands than what you had before. Okay. We'll start with Councillor Mayor, and then we'll proceed with Councillor Mayor at the back, and then take, no. So it will be Councillor Mayor, Councillor Mabusela, Councillor Mayor, Councillor Tsela, Councillor Tsepo, and then we'll be closing this round of questions. Okay, let's start, Councillor Mayor.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think we need to include our initials, CA Mayor and P Mayor, to just differentiate, as when you speak, the spelling is not visible. My question is particularly to the mention of bulk contributions, and I've got a different view on what happens to those bulk contributions, and I cannot find it anywhere on the city's website that should have public information. And it pertains to how the bulk contributions are actually being used and spent, because according to my knowledge, the bulk contributions cannot be ring-fenced for that development. It goes into the coffers of the city, and then the city uses it as part of its entire budget. However, at some point in the past, there was negotiation that took place where if you are bringing an application of development, and there are instances where there are bulk contributions applicable, that the services can be installed by the developer. But I do not see that written anywhere. So it is quite important in terms of what I have seen. These bulk contributions are not being implemented where the applications are being developed, approved, and then afterwards developed. I have some developments in my ward as well, and that has been the case. There hasn't been upgrading of services, which then causes other issues downstream, be it electricity, be it water and sanitation. And that brings me to the other concern, is the kind of comments that is being given by the service departments. I think that when we look at applications, especially with large developments of this nature, that the service departments really consider the capacity in terms of electricity, the stability of the electricity, the capacity of water. Does the city have the capacity to supply the water that is required? Does the city have the capacity to, in actual fact, deal with the sewage that will be increased in that area? Because we know the issues from Rand Water, we know there are issues from our wastewater treatment plants, and we also know the issues pertaining to our electricity grid that is not stable.
you, Councillor Mayor, Councillor Musela.
Mine is just quick, Chair. I think there is a discrepancy or lack of oversight on the table, page 85, column 1, and Data Makata, that there is approved plans for retail or shop there, and the status says it is under construction, and that is not the case. I think maybe it was missed. The pantry, it has been fully operating for the past 8 months. Maybe we need to change it, or maybe, I'm not sure if, according to your records, they are still under construction. Perhaps they are operating illegally. Please just verify that, because even now I passed there, they are fully operating. This pantry is dominant in the TikTok there. People are visiting. Just correct it.
Thank you. Councillor Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. I think the bulk services contributions was covered by my colleague, the other Councillor Mayor, that bulk services are not necessarily ring-fenced for the developments that are taking place, and with the approvals of the zoning applications. Just on the table on page 35, it's a bit confusing. The first column just says building plans which have approved. Then the second column says business, which means the type of business. Third column says land use, but I believe that one should be zoning. And then you can compare the land use to the zoning, which business correlates to which zoning. And I see some that are not, there's a residential one where they've got a restaurant, so I don't know which one Mr. Makata was referring to, which is going to court, and that I would love to know which court, because I can tell you now, with all honesty, the municipal courts are useless. So there's no issue to take any case to the municipal court. The highest penalty they can hand out is a 5,000 rand fine. Do you think a 5,000 rand fine for a businessman that runs a restaurant, it's a joke? He just pays the 5,000 rand and he continues. So all these matters need to be taken to a higher court. But that's something we need to discuss with legal, because according to, also in terms of the national building regulations, I'm not talking about a town planning scheme now, but if you've got a building that doesn't comply with the national building regulations, or in any illegal building, then a magistrate can take a decision, can issue actually a demolition order. And municipal courts, you've got magistrates in a municipal court. But apparently, from the information that I've got, is that those magistrates haven't got the right to issue a demolition order. Which, once again, it takes the teeth out of the enforcement by the city. And we need to get clarity on that, but that's an issue we can discuss with legal as well. Because now we need to take it to a magistrate's court or a high court to get a demolition order at high cost to the council. That's just a general comment I want to make. But then also the parking. Parking is nowhere mentioned. I know you can apply for relaxation of parking, but I can tell you now, all these restaurants, the normal parking that's required is 6 parking spaces per 100 square meters. And if you go to the village, you will see, and I think Alderman Sutton mentioned it as well, the overspill of cars in that area, it runs into the residential area, and which is not only a nuisance to the residents, but it's the entrances are blocked, etc., noise going together with that. So, yes, the RSDF has been approved. It accommodates these types of land users. But do we really look at the spin-offs thereof in terms of parking as well? That's a real concern. maybe they can make use of the parking at Atterbury, which doesn't operate at night and pay a fee towards that. But we need to look at alternatives for parking as well. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mayor. Councillor Zilla.
No, thank you, Chair. I think there's a confusion here from the part of GH. The GH speaks about illegal townships. And we're not speaking about illegal townships. We're not speaking about the court of we're speaking about the contraventions and the notices and how bylaws are being affected, if I may put it like that. Look, this is Tshwane, and Tshwane says Tshwane Real Tshwane. But we are not the same. Why are you able to go to the townships or Metropolis is able to go to the townships and close all the illegal shops? Some are being broken, by the way. Sorry? Oh, some are being demolished, as Kwasa already. Some are being demolished. But I think it's less than 10 kilometers away. Here in Hazelwood. No, people are being given an opportunity. No, hey, we've been giving them time. And my word is that, where's the Metropolis here? The representative from Metropolis is not here. My word is that when they come to our wards, when we even try to explain to them as councillors, they don't listen to us. But here, you can't do that. So I'm saying to you, don't confuse us. No, we're not there on illegal townships. So we're not dealing with Mikuku and other things. Here we're dealing with your contraventions and notices that are given to those to those restaurants and I don't know what that or the clubs there. But in the townships, you don't give them an opportunity. So I just wanted to no, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Zilla. Councillor Sepo.
There's no difference between, actually, we don't have townships. Now, you can say it's Tshwane, the whole town. Because whatever is happening in the city is happening also in Harangu. We have development yards, because Harangu had big yards. They're turning them into storage buildings. You get my point? To lease for students, we have courts, we have hospitals, we have 2 tertiary institutions in Harangu, just like in town. So every yard is being bought and turned into some high level of development to accommodate students or workers around the area. So the infrastructure is not taking it. So we can't move away from the fact that there should be continuous planning within the city. We need to live in the future. The city is living in the present. And it means that's why we have this thing of reapply rezoning. The rezoning concept was all about that, to say that we are a constantly moving city. We need to allow redesign of our infrastructure and our services. But the problem is that we have not invested in that. We are stuck in the present and we are a growing city. We are not improving our infrastructure. That's what the challenge is. But our discussion for today was that how we deal with compliance. That's my question was not answered. It's a follow-up. Are we dealing with compliance to assist us to comply? Or are we dealing with compliance as a primitive matter, to say that you don't comply, we destroy infrastructure today? And what is the difference between what's happening in town and what's happening in the locations? Even in the locations, we have a problem. We have foreigner shops that are not even addressed, that exist. They don't destroy them. They come there, negotiate, and maybe drink some cold drink and just go away. But we have local shops that have been demolished. A local car wash owned by a local person will be demolished. But a foreign tech shop that is there will not be demolished. What laws are we using? Do we have partial laws? Do we have laws for A, not for B? what is happening. That's what we need to understand. There's a material problem there because of we don't have the same law for everybody. When you stop me, I don't have a driver's license, you give me a ticket, we know the same traffic laws apply for everybody on the road. But with this thing of businesses, small businesses, we have different laws. And that's what the community is saying out there. Or there are different laws for different people. Where is the problem? Why are we having different laws? What laws are you using? What policies are you using? And if you did not follow your policy when demolishing those things in Harampua, Mawupane, Mamelodi, go and put them back. But if you were right in demolishing them, tomorrow morning I want you there to demolish that place. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Councillor Madonsela.
No, thanks, Chairperson. I think my colleagues have covered me. Just in a nutshell, the group head must just answer the following questions: that there are 11 contraventions that happened on that village, and yet we're not getting a clarity in terms of what is the action plan from the city. As indicated by our colleague Sutton, that immediately if you change, because there are 32 properties, of which 17 of them are restaurant and 7 is still residential, and there's a mixed use of it's hotel flats and pubs there, it creates a parking problem. And the group here doesn't address that either. So hence we make that follow-up questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Matlo, as you conclude.
Mine is about 1, 2, 3. It's about the fifth column here on page 35. Because I see there's a process going on there for already served these properties with illegal occupation. Served for illegal occupation. I just want to know the process. After you serve them with this illegal occupation and they don't comply, because I think it's about compliance here. If they don't comply, what then? What then happens? If you serve them, really, I think they wouldn't comply as quick as you want. But what is the process? The end process? What do you do after that?
Thank you. The Deputy Chief Whip.
Motlhomong ka re e bee ka Sepedi tjhe gore tlo kwešišala gabotse gore bo makgata ba tlo responda ba kgone gore ba re botse dikarabo tse re di tlhoka botsebotse makhanselara ba nyaka go kwešiša gore molao o re o šomišang nkane o ka re o lebelela mmala ka gore mo malobeng e re be re lebeletše ola hunadi a sepela le bo phogola phahle ba sepela ba tšwa Mabopane a sekgale mo Mabopane station ba ilo phetha morero o re nana o re tshepo ya rena gore ba berekišitše melao yona e maloba be ba le ka Mamelodi ko Mamsumolo ba dira ona mošomo ona o ke eng se se ba thibelang go ya Hazelwood mohlomong o ka re botse gore no ke ba file report nna ka re shi ba sa tloya mohlomong re ka kgotsofala mara re ka humana gore hunadi le phogola phahle a bana tsona ditaba tšea re tlo ba le bothata ka gore go ra gore molao o bereka go ba bangwe go ba bangwe a o bereki kale ke yona kgwekgo ya taba mogešo ke yona ntho e re nyakang go e tseba gore o ka re molao o na le matlho o lebelela dilo o ya le ka mmala ka gore tabe a se mathomo re bolela ka yona kgale ntse re phetletšana ka yona ba lenke le re tlhalosetšeng ka bokaone gore ye yona re o feta bjang moo yona re tla dira ditšhišinyo tše dingwe mola re hweditše dikarabo chairperson ka gore re na le mmono mo re le maloko a komiti gore re tlo tšwetša pele bja mothata bo kale re fe bomakgata sebaka ba nke ba re botse gore no re ka e bereka bjang tabe go ya le ka diputšo tše re di botsisitseng ke na le tshepo re kwa etse ba kone.
No, thank you very much, Deputy Chief. We'll entertain the responses from the department, and then we'll grant you some 5 minutes or so to conclude your recommendations, because it is clear that we are not taking cognizance of the report. That's the unfortunate part, or fortunate part, depending on where you're sitting. Group head.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Let me, I think, start with the one for the issue around the end process. I tried to explain that there are two contraventions we are dealing with as a department. One is the one dealing with the scheme, that is the scheme of the land uses. The second one is the issue around the national building regulations. Now, the process for town planning scheme and NBR, they are different. One, let me start with the town planning scheme. Now, we issue a contravention notice to deal with the land use, and then failure to comply with that, we then do another inspection, and that is where I've indicated that we issue what we call the non-permitted use. So they charge you 3 times more than what you have to pay. That is non-permitted use, which we are working with finance. That's one part. The second one is the one dealing with national building regulations. I think it goes also to the occupation. You have a site, you must submit building plans. The building plans need to be approved, then you build. Before you can occupy that particular building, you need to issue what we call occupation certificate. So you cannot occupy that without occupation certificate. So these are the two things. Now, sometimes you may find that you deviate from the approved plan. You may find that you have submitted building plans that are approved, but when you build, you deviate from what was approved. Now, in terms of the processes, is that one I've indicated that we take you to, we issue non-permitted use, or we take you to municipal courts. Now, municipal courts will then process it, whether I know in most cases, there's admission of guilt. But these are the processes. Maybe just to also indicate that we just had a meeting this week with our legal services and municipal courts in terms of how do we take this process forward. It's true that we cannot take all the matters to High Court because it's very expensive. So we are in discussion with municipal courts to look at alternatives on what needs to be done. I think one of the areas or the avenues is that you should be able to approach magistrate courts because they are cheaper compared to the High Courts. Councillor Mayor, also the issue about which court I was referring to, we had to take this, it's a very same case from the same Hazelwood because of the issues about the zoning. We took them to High Court, it was High Court. So we can share with you because it's a public document when there's an order. There was an issue with regard to bulk contributions. Maybe just to indicate that the regime we are using, it's true that we are using SPLUMA, which is a Spatial Planning Land Use Management Act. But for those who understand planning processes, is that in the past, we used to use what we call ordinance. Now, some years back, yes, it's true, once you have a development taking place, they pay what we call the bulk contributions. Now, in the past, people were forced, or the city or town councils were forced to spend that money in that particular area, because that is where they are paying bulk to upgrade the roads, to upgrade all the infrastructure. But with the changes of laws in terms of the MFMA and also SPLUMA, because the understanding is that the payments which the developers are paying, to be honest, that money is not really being used only for infrastructure, but the city is using it for other things. So unfortunately, you find that there is a rezoning application, there is a township establishment, and it was approved, payments were made, but then upgrades didn't happen. And also, as one of the areas which we are working on also with our service departments, is that you find that in most cases, the city doesn't have adequate funding to provide that bulk. And in most cases, the developers themselves, they are the ones who will go and build that particular infrastructure, and then from there hand it over to the city. That is where you have the agreement between the city and the developers. So, because that is where you find that because we don't have adequate funding for CAPEX. So developers are there to assist us. Now, the other issue I think was raised to say, do we do this for compliance, or do we really want to promote economic growth? It's true that we need to balance the two. Because the intention now is that we had a discussion, I think there was a developers forum. We always have what we call developers forum, where we're discussing this with all the developers. You find that in most cases, you find that, yes, we go and demolish or we close. And you find that there are about 12 people or 15 people working in that particular establishment. And we know that each person working there, they are supporting about 4 to 5. And these are some of the realities which we have to understand. But in terms of, from our side as a department, we need to make sure that there's compliance. The reason why we don't, I must just also indicate that we as a department, we don't have the authority to directly demolish. We don't have the authority to demolish or close. That's why the city established what we call IBEC. IBEC is a multidisciplinary. Where we have cases, we then submit those issues to IBEC so that IBEC can then take the process forward. Because that is where we have emergency services, we have health, you have city planning, we have building control, and then all the departments are involved. So that is where IBEC is taking that process forward. And I think also Councillor Marishal, you indicated the issue on how we deal with these issues is that you find that we have Riaspana or the program which is from the mayor's office. So usually that is why it's multidisciplinary. Almost of the cases we discussed at the level of IBEC, and then from IBEC, then that is where we are implementing. So the issue is that we don't have different laws for different areas. If we use the town planning scheme, the town planning scheme for the city, the entire city. National building regulations is for the entire city. So we don't really separate the other areas. But as I indicated, we have IBEC. If you check also under conclusion that we have, all the issues are being deposited at IBEC level, because in most cases, some of these contraventions, it's not just only one contravention. You find that health issues are involved, zoning issues are involved, Metro Police, they are involved, and all the other departments. That is what we are working on. Thanks very much.
Thanks. You want to further engage or you want to sponsor recommendations? It's not into it. Okay. Well, this is the last hand. We need to move. We still have a number of issues. Proceed.
Chair, we are the ones who called for this report. And just give us an opportunity to engage. Chair, you won't get a response. And I think he took time to respond, GH. You won't get a response because Metropolis is not here.
Councillor Tsela, I appreciate your passion towards the matter, but the same way I would caution the officials on pointing fingers or doing gestures.
Oh, sorry.
I get the point.
No, sorry. Apologies,
but the decorum of the meeting must still be maintained. But then equally, the only thing that is going to help you in this case is to get your caucus and pass recommendations done. Because it's okay, I'll give you your bite, finish it up, but at the end of the day, I think the point has been proven. You are unhappy, not you only. The committee generally have pinpointed issues they are not happy with. But at some point, we must exhaust the discussions and then move on to recommendations, and then get on with other matters before us. Respectfully so. But you're on the floor. Thank you.
Chairperson, I think, point is proven. I agree with you. But I wanted to show you also that if all departments are not represented, we won't get the response. I'm saying Metropolis is not here. And they're the one who are demolishing some of the shops there in the townships. And I want to disagree with with our GH here to say these demolitions are happening during Raspana. No, not during Raspana only. And if Metropolis come and demolishes these businesses, where do they get that permission? So, Chair, thank you very much. Those were some of my inputs that I wanted to put forward here in front of everybody. Because you are live here. Eh? Our people, they think that we are failing them. Thank you.
No, I've granted you, and I'm granting you 5 minutes. At 25 minutes past 11,
Okay.
we're proceeding.
I just want to procedural thing. As MPEC, we just like Auditor General, we call report as samples, but our resolution should be speaking to the whole city. We should move away from the temptation of solving wild droplets, while the figure well somewhere else. And I think that's what we need to get to that level of saying that. That's why in my deliberation I tried to speak about citywide problems. And then if we only target one thing and becomes a problem, then in the future it will be the same thing or it's equal to that. So that's what I wanted to put on the table to say that as we discuss on matters, we should also try to find a resolution that will speak to everything across board and try to address that. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. 5 minutes caucus granted. 25 past, we're back. Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. If we may settle down, please. Thank you. If we may settle down, please, colleagues, so that we can get on with the business of the day. Thank you. Comrades of the GNU, let's settle down, please. No, thank you very much, colleagues. We are done with the caucus. That was granted. So I don't know if there is any recommendations that the members would like to pass on the report so that we move forward. Yes.
No, thank you, Chair. Thank you for 5 minutes podcast, Chair. We've got some recommendations. First recommendation is bylaws must be fully implemented by all law enforcement agencies, and MPEG must be finished with the report. MPEG must do inspection in loco on the premises with regards to the information provided on the report by the 11th of March 2026. And that third recommendation, that this report also be referred to Section 79 Committee of Economic Development and Spatial Planning for further scrutiny. Recommended by Councillor D.K. Zela, seconded by Councillor Rodi Mabusela.
Thank you. Recommendations before me is for item 2 on report on all restaurants at Hazelwood, better known as the Village. The recommendations are as follows. One is that bylaws be fully implemented by the law enforcement, and MPEG must be finished with the report. And then number 2 is that MPEG do inspection in loco on the premises with regards to the information provided in the report as of the 11th of March 2026. Number 3 is that this report also be referred to Section 79 Committee on Economic Development and Special Planning for further scrutiny and action. Recommendations are from Councillor D.K. Zela and seconded by Councillor Rodi Mabusela. As recommended. Thank you. Right. Oh, yes, Councillor
Just your 1 minute indulgence. Just a general comment on the issue of municipal courts and other entities in the city. We were a capital city, Councillor Mayor Ntate Makgata, and many others in here going forward. If the municipal court is useless, that's a reflection on us and nobody else. Now we've got that responsibility. We can't be declaring our entities useless. Now we've got that responsibility to make it functional. If it takes us to make it look good and be an example in this country, for it to be given more powers, let's do that work. Let's be positive for once about us. This city is a capital city. It has got the responsibility to make this country to look better. So let's drive that narrative about us as a city. Let us be a shining example to many other cities in this country and many other cities across the world. So I just wanted to raise that issue, Chair, to say we can't be lambasting our entities and we're doing nothing about them. It is our responsibility and no one else. This goes to many other departments and entities of the city. As and when we do work, we must make sure that we identify where there are shortcomings and make sure that we resolve those problems and make sure that all our entities and departments are functional. That is my 2 cents contribution. Thank you very much for your indulgence.
Thank you. We are done with the report in question. We then move to Group Financial Services. That's report number 3. It's a Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act 2003 for the period ending 31st of October 2025. The report is found on page 39 to page 81 with recommendations on page 45. Is there any comments? Councillor Randall and then Councillor Peter, followed by Councillor Matlo.
Thank you, Chairperson. As was our meeting last month, we received August and September's in-year reports, and we requested that we deal with the latest report so that we can then see what the status is closer to where we are now. So at the moment we're looking at October and then November and then December. If we can dispose of the item 3 and 4 and do a proper, thorough discussion on item 5, the mid-year budget assessment and the in-year report for December. That's just a proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Councillor Peter, Ntate Matlo after, and then Tsepo will follow. Councillor Tsepo will follow.
Thank you, Chair. No, I'll agree with my colleague. I've got comments, but I can raise it in the last report as well. It's applicable there as well. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Chairperson. As much as we appreciate reports coming, you know what makes it difficult is receiving such reports after getting a midterm assessment report passing through council. So it feels like it's overtaken by events. Our discussion of these 3 reports, finance report, after getting a compiled report of this report, it's like deja vu, discussing the same thing. We have went to council and we have resolved on them. We're waiting for budget adjustments, and now it's like it will be just passing time discussing them, and just unless if there are issues on them that needs material attention and things that we need to punch and consequence on other things, it's never late for that. But as far as we have discussed them as part of the compilation of all this report in a midterm report.
Thanks, Councillor Matlo?
Yeah, uncovered, Chair, that
Okay, thank you. Do we get a response on it?
Chair, thank you. I think the request was that we will thoroughly engage on the last report that is being brought on board. We ensure to catch up on the backlog as requested in the previous MPEC and about October, November, and the latest midterm assessment. I think the honorable councillors were requesting that we have a thorough engagement on the latest report.
Okay, thank you. As recommended. Okay, thank you. Thank you, CFO. The next report is report number 4. It's from Group Financial Services, Local Government, Municipal Finance Management Act of 2003, in-year report for the period ending November the 30th, 2025. The report is on page 82 to page 125 with recommendations on page 88. Is there any comments? Or the same comments apply? Okay, as recommended. Thank you. We have got to report number 5, some Group Financial Services, Local Government, Municipal Finance Management Act of 2003. It's an in-year report for monthly and quarterly budget statement for the period ending the 31st of December 2025. The report is found on page 126 to 167 with recommendations on page 132. Is there any comments? Yes, Councillor Randall and Councillor Peter.
Thank you, Chairperson. So, looking at the December report, we note that we are still struggling to get on par with the year-to-date budgets, both for actual operating revenue and for your operating expenditure. Seeing that, now the second one, operating expenditure, in August we were 1.8 billion less than year-to-date. In December we were 3.9 billion less than year-to-date. Maybe I know December is a slow month, it's not a lot happening, but maybe just an explanation on the big discrepancy there. Chair, then if you look at the variance on your revenue and the reasons or what caused it, one can safely say that property rates at this stage is the one who's the most favorable, and especially also the supplementary valuation role that's also adding to our revenue there. And one would hope that we continue with the work there and the revenue earned there. My problem further on with expenditure is on bulk purchases. 1.3 billion rand under. And the two reasons cited was that it's due to system errors that delayed the processing of the December invoices and late submission of invoices by Rand Water and Magalies Water. How can this be mitigated? Maybe just elaborate on that. Chair, then, if you look at the total debtors, it keeps on growing. We've started in August, where I started monitoring it on 27.7. September, it rose to 28.7. December, 30.1 billion. So it seems like, especially the over 1 year debtors, it's now on 20 billion. It seems like the city is not getting any money from there. I wanted to know how much are we spending in terms of collection efforts on that 1 year and older, and if there's no way that, in the past we sold the debtors book, is it because of the inaccuracies of our billing that we cannot use that option anymore? Because it's quite disheartening to see that we are struggling to contain the growth in our debtors. So yeah, from my side, that's it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor Peter Sultan.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to my colleague. certainly those aspects are concerned, as my colleague has pointed out. But I want to say to the CFO, if I look at these holistically, I can see you put in a lot of hard work. So thank you for that. But there are some concerns that has been raised. The one part that I want to speak about, and I specifically want to go to page 128. And CFO, this is from a usefulness perspective with this report. Now, just under point 4, we speak about the cash and cash equivalents. And this applies to all the reports. So the cash and cash equivalents are investment at 31 December, amounted to 2.5 billion, including unspent grants. Now, what I want to ask you, I can now obviously go to the tables, and I can see the unspent grants is nearly 800 million, which is included in that 2.5. It will be helpful in the future if you can actually just put that amount in it for us, because I think it is important that we need to understand from a cash and cash equivalent perspective how much money we actually have. And when we have 800 million rand of unspent grants sitting in that money in there, that's not our money. So that actually, we only sit with 1.7 billion. And I think it's quite important. And if we go back to the previous months, which I'm happy we didn't deal with now, but just to make the point that in October, it was 1.5 billion with 400 million of unspent grants sitting in there, which means actually only 1.1 billion. And I think in the future, just put that amount in there for us, just in brackets, because it is useful to see and for us to understand and to mitigate the risk. And that is a big concern for me, CFO. We take our salaries, the salary bill of the city alone is the equivalent of that cash equivalent balance that we actually have almost. So give or take a few hundred million. But yeah, so that's just my point. So if you can just make that tweak for us going forward, that will be helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. CFO?
Chairperson, thank you very much. And the first questions were in reference to the below target that we've reached from a revenue perspective. We were sitting at a 1% shortcoming for the month of December. But if you look at the results for the month of November, with the report just before, we had negative 3%. So this does demonstrate that within that period there was significant catch-up and significant progress that was achieved by the Revenue Project Management Office in terms of dealing with these shortcomings. It did give us confidence that going into the adjustment budget period, we'll be in a position to ensure that that is fully, the catch-up process fully unfolds accordingly. From an expenditure perspective, indeed, December is normally a half month, similarly with January. So we see bulk of the catch-up occurring from February moving forward. But I think we're particularly happy as well with our CapEx expenditure in this instance, taking into account that we had exceeded the targets from our own targets that we had set for ourselves as a city and the normal national treasury targets that we have set. We were sitting at about 46% from a CapEx expenditure perspective. Bulk purchases, I think, yes, we took note of the late submissions purely from the water authorities. From Eskom, we've managed to come up with systems to ensure that we receive these on time. We are busy setting up similar structures with both Rand Water and Mahalis to ensure that we receive them on time as well. It was a peculiar month in December. In other months, we did not face issues of this nature. But I think what we'll need to do and what we have done is resuscitate the steering committee that we normally have with the water authorities to ensure that these invoices are also submitted on time. Yes, we've taken note of the increase in debtors. Amongst some of this, we've put in measures in place to ensure that credit control and debt collection enablers are ramped up and accelerated in terms of dealing with the areas that we see. We've also seen through the experience with the number of cases that we are seeing, of course, that within the debt book there are massive elements of prescribed debt, which is a critical item that we're working on as management, which will be brought on to the necessary structures of council, which will help us deal with the debtors book. I think, Chair, from a debtors perspective, it's also wise for me to confirm that we have a number of credit control and debt collection enablers. Within these enablers, your normal disconnection services, which is paid only when funds are received, is a positive, I think, it's a fruitful mechanism of us ensuring that there's value for money for the disconnection services work that we undertake on. It's not merely paid on actions, it's paid on cash in the city's bank account. We've seen significant savings in that component. Bulk of the work from a credit control and debt collection perspective have been isolated and centralized within the project management office, except of course for credit control disconnections, which we only pay out once there's money in the bank, and that initiative that was fully implemented, and our partners or service providers are aware of that. There has been significant complaints in the past, but I think it's been institutionalized moving forward. I'll also touch on external legal collection teams, which we are working with, which I think we're paying about 10% in line with the procurement competitive bidding process that was followed to assist us on this program. Other enablers are in-house activities that the city is performing in-house, like your robot-dialer, your Section 129 notice, your final notice of demand. We're not spending a cent on those. We're utilizing the city's systems in order to execute this. The cash and cash equivalent component and splitting the amount in reference to unspent conditional grant, we take note of that, Chair, and we'll ensure that is incorporated in the near future. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Sebo.
Thanks a lot, Chairperson. Mine is just simple. As much as we are excited that you got into a deal with the workers, and one can stop also worrying a bit, because we are impaired is accountability time to get to understand the plans, what informed that. Because I see there's a trend here of under expenditure on the operational budget month on month. Does it signal underperformance management? Because it's also our responsibility. Are we having an efficient, the 3 E's of management, are we getting them right? Or is it that we are underperforming? Is it a trend that we are hoping to see for the longest of time? And if that's the case, then it gives me hope. If that's not the case, we are underperforming because we are underspending because of we are failing to perform. Or is it a sign that we are performing? Just a straight question. And if it's a sign that we are performing, it means that we'll be able to afford the deal that we entered into. But if that's what I'm trying to get to understand, Dore, is the underspending a sign of good financial management, or is it a sign of bad performance from your CFO? Maybe anyone, maybe the city manager can be able to give me just that assurance that we above average, even though we are able to save, or is just failure to spend, and that will give me hope. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. CFO.
Thank you so much, Chair. Firstly, the 3.5 agreement which was reached with Labour was as a result of a thorough cash flow analysis that the city has undertaken. I think as you are aware, we have staggered this arrangement over a 36-month period. We've incorporated the payment patterns in line with the city's liquidity cash flow, where there is sufficient cash flow, as we've seen in the past. We've ensured that we isolate periods where bond payments, power utility payments are due. This will increase our ability to ensure that we honor the arrangement. Chair, despite this being a 36-month arrangement, there was a sacrifice on both the city and Labour. The initial amount that was due was 1.5 billion rand, as we are aware. We managed to sign off a deal of 1.088 billion. This does also demonstrate that management negotiated in good faith in favor of the city in order to try and ensure savings from that perspective as well. So with that being reached as well, it was staggered over a 36-month period to ensure that the budget that the city still brings on board from the adjustment budget and the MTF moving forward still maintains a funded status. So we feel this was a good deal in reference with the circumstances that the city was currently facing. It's the best deal that we could have reached under the circumstances at play. In terms of under expenditure, I think it's a combination of factors, Honourable Councillor. The first one is that firstly we are spending within our limits. Yes, there are pockets of items that are overexpending, but we're able to reassign transfer funds accordingly to cater for that shortfall or gap. Yes, there are elements of savings within the last 2 months of the first midterm period of the financial year. This is as a result of December period literally being a 15-day month rather than a 30-day month. Similarly with the month of February, construction period is literally closed for the first 15 days of the month. Work only resumes towards the end of the month. With that in play, we still managed to achieve the 46% expenditure on CAPEX. So it is a good sign that the city's plans are in place and we are working in line with the targets that we have set for ourselves. So at this stage, it's not a sign of concern. It's just a combination of the factors that we've just mentioned now. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, CFO. Okay, last bite. Like last. Wow. Councillor Mayor.
Thank you, Chair. I had my hand up the previous round. The screens are so big, it seems like you're hiding behind the screen, can't see you. I want to throw a pebble into the bush. There will be a calling of report perhaps at the next meeting in this regard. But I question the amount for property rates. And why I'm saying this is the fact that there seems to be a lack of understanding or procedure or process in how the city manages usufructs. When the property is registered with the usufruct, I'm not going to give a lesson on usufructs, but it's one of the oldest forms of ownership in terms of Roman law. We do have the group head legally as well that can confirm or deny that fact. And the usufruct can come to an end in two ways, either by one, in the way of ending as per the agreement, or by the end of life, where the domicilium will, the bedominium will then have the full ownership. Now, it gets complicated for the fact that it doesn't always go through a late estate. The late estate doesn't always deal with the usufruct per se, and the registration with the deeds office is a different process as the usufruct is registered against the title deed. But it seems like the city is in the argument that it might only be using the title holder, but the usufruct is also a title holder. Now there's a mess that is created with the accounts of that property, where when the usufruct comes to an end, the one account is being credited where another account is then billed for that credit. It just doesn't make sense. But more of that will be revealed, I think, within the next meeting. A calling of report will be done to get clarification from the department. How do they deal with usufructs in terms of accounts? Because I think either the city is losing a lot of money or the city is billing huge amounts of money to residents and companies alike, trusts, and billing properties twice, and it creates an accounting problem.
Thank you. CFO?
Chair, thank you very much. I think from a property rate perspective, we are confident with the figures in the bill that we issue on a monthly basis. We are coming on the backdrop where we've just recently compiled a new general valuation role, which I think from my view was widely published. We've received a number of comments, objections, which were dealt with accordingly. In the instance that those haven't been dealt with, there's a tribunal that has been set up that is currently engaging with those matters. We are confident that the figures that we're producing here, Chair, are validated and they've been certified as correct. Of course, over and above common law from a property rate perspective, we've got the Municipal Property Rate Act that gives us a clear way forward on how to handle issues of this nature. There are peculiar matters where there are estates involved and there must be transfer of properties from user A to B as a result of a number of factors. Those are peculiar, and we've got systems in place on how we deal with those. Chair, we deal with those on a daily basis. From a timeline perspective, in some instances there might be delays, but I can confirm, Chair, that we have put systems in place to address those accordingly. It is within the norm that we will be dealing with matters of deceased estates and delays in transfers for a number of reasons. In some instances, the estates itself haven't finalized where properties should be registered. But I think it's not unique. We are aware of those issues, and we do have systems that are available to address them accordingly. So, Chair, in short, the property rates amount that we're presenting in this midterm report is validated, and we can confirm that the figures are correct in line with the city's general valuation law.
Thank you. As recommended. Thank you, colleagues.
We'll move to the second supplementary agenda, where we have got two matters on an open committee. The first matter is from Group Financial Service Department, Bulk Services, ESCOM, and Water Boards for November report for 2025-2026 financial year. The report is found on page 4 to page 10 with recommendations on page 10. Any comments? Yes. Councillor?
Thank you so much, Jay. I want to take you to page 9.7 under conclusion. Just to highlight this and that we really are very worried that the comment here is that ESCOM bills have become way above the city's ability to generate electricity revenue thereon. Electricity which is consumed by the city's residential and commercial consumers. And that, you know, on the one hand you've got low payment levels, and on the other hand you've got liquidity challenges in terms of keeping up the payments to ESCOM. So this puts us in a dire situation, and that's why I mentioned that the growing debtors and that we need to really aggressively target to contain that, because the more they're growing, the less revenue we get, and the more we're going to battle to stabilize our liquidity in the city. And then my other comment is, in August, for example, we said that the current account was 2.1 billion rand for energy consumption, and it was settled on the 26th of September. In December, or in this report, you say the current account is now suddenly 1.2 billion. So from 2.1 billion in August to 1.2 billion in October, settled the 28th of November. Can I or we just get clarity on the big discrepancy there from August to October? 2.1 billion versus 1.2 billion. Thank you.
Thank you. CFO?
Chair, thank you very much. The first one in reference to the conclusion, I think we are aware that we are still facing a number of issues in reference to electricity distribution losses. For as much as we are able to have sufficient cash flow within the months in question to honor the current account and to deal with the arrears, it is a concern that's valid and that's true, that must be raised according to all structures so that we are aware of the impediments that we still need to deal with before we can fully confirm that we are out of the woods in this matter. I think there are other forums that are in place that are targeting addressing issues of distribution losses. Also, part and parcel of that is the new allocation that National Treasury has allocated to the city in terms of the UDFG grant, purely aimed at addressing electricity and water distribution losses as some of our key solutions of addressing these matters. I think the conclusion was purely there to raise the risk that we are not yet out of the woods. We are adequately dealing with the matters, but these are risks that still exist, which the city still needs to ensure there are sufficient plans to address them. In terms of the second one, in the month of where there was a 2.1 bill, it was the last month of the winter period. Winter period, there are seasonal charges or tariffs that are levied by the power utility. Once we entered into the summer months, the bill normalized accordingly, and consumption obviously also reduced, which led to the significant reduction. So normally between, I'll say, between April, May, June, July, we have winter tariffs that power utility levies upon us. There's also increased consumption, and the bill almost doubles. We've also taken into account that we've structured the payment plan accordingly to ensure that seasons of that nature are also incorporated within our payment patterns in order to enable or increase our ability to honor our current account as well as the arrears. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, CFO. And that would conclude engagements as recommended. Thank you. So it concludes our engagements and our open calendar. There was, I don't know if I should call it a technical error or an oversight that would have happened yesterday. whereby the report number 2 on the agenda, on the second supplementary agenda, from Group Legal and Secretariat Services Department, had confidentiality aspects that had to be protected. Apparently there was a link in there which needed to not be on an open calendar. That error was picked up when I engaged with several people to try and rectify that mistake or oversight as it may. Eventually it was rectified. But I should firstly apologize, of course, for the error that was done administratively by the Office of the Speaker, but also urge our people in those offices to make sure that sensitive matters are handled with necessary care, because we are going to be stepping on people's rights if we make such mistakes. Totally unacceptable and should not happen again. It's not the first time it happens, and it's totally unacceptable. So the Office of the Speaker is therefore really cautioned to look into such matters. You cannot upload a report that you see it has got people's names or does have a link thereof that refers to something that is confidential on an open calendar, because then that means that it compromises the investigations that will be embarking on, but then it plays into the hands of politics, which you don't want in this committee. We want investigations to be handled with the necessary care that it deserves. So we hope that this mistake will not happen again, and that we are a bit more careful as we process these reports. It's totally unfair to have such happen. To have such happen is totally unfair, and it trumps on other people's rights. And as we conclude, CM, we have written a letter to you. There are very serious allegations that have been leveled against Metro Police Department in relation to the recruitment of the 200 newly appointed Metro Police officers, whereby it is alleged that people had access to question papers prior to the tests, and allegations of nepotism, bribery, and corruption has been put before you. So don't be surprised when you get to the office and you find that email. We hope that that matter will be attended with the speed that it deserves. So the caucus did write to you, but maybe if then it will later on it comes up, it may come to this forum, or it may be handled differently. But it is quite concerning that after yesterday's victory, we have such allegations leveled against the department as it may, which is not here, and which did not send an apology, which continuously delays reports, which we did oversight on and requested certain things, and they are not doing it CM. We may want to meet that department separately with senior management thereof, so that they start coming on board and attend to certain things. There were certain matters that were discussed here that also included the department in question, but the department is not here. Several meetings they've been coming in and out, completely unacceptable. But like we've said, colleagues, then we'll entertain the confidential matters, which means that we will be switching off the streaming. I don't know if before we do that there is any calling of reports
that you have ready as a committee? It seems not. So we'd like to thank everyone who joined us for this meeting, and those who will be streaming us live and so on. Thank you very much for being part of today's proceedings. We'll now be switching to in-camera and confidential part of the meeting. Thank you very much to the officials who honored the invitation, and even tomorrow when we call you, please answer the call. Thank you.